In a pitbull fight, the winner is not always the one who crashes. Many victories are obtained through permanence in the fight. And many who are winning may not want to fight again. This is the 6th part of the audiobook, The Competition Dog. Chapter 7. Tips and Objectives. Articles already published in several journals. We are reprinting the following articles with permission from the authors. Us. We owe a special thanks to each of these creators for their friendship, support, and the contribution that each one made to our kennel. Terry Townsend, we think, has done an excellent job of preserving the blood of the old Nigerino, and the procreations he made form the basis of most of the bloodline of Nigerian we have. Terry is one of the most honored breeders we know. And although we never met him in person, we consider him one of our best friends in the game. The following article by Terry appeared in the first issue of Tom Ratliff's American Warriors, March 1992. Catesgr.ch. Nigerian. By Terry Townsend. Nigerino was born in July 1979 to Jackson's Wolfman, a son of Eli Jr. It is grandson of Bully Son, bred by Hathaway's Lela, a daughter of Gr.ch. Art and Eli's great-granddaughter. Junior Sam Cates acquired Nigerino and his litter sister, Belita, from their breeder when they were puppies. There was one condition, that Belita would be crossed back with his father Wolfman. For whatever reason, this was not done. When Belita came into heat she was bred to Cates Poncho, who was the son of Stompanato by a daughter of Bully Son/Arts Missy. Some time later, Belita and Nigerino were stolen from Sam Cates' backyard, as also a son and daughter of Poncho/Belita breeding. The story is that the breeder of Nigerino and Belita caught the stolen puppies, supposedly because he felt the agreement had been violated. Cates found Nigerino in another Texas breeder's kennel and recovered Belita's 2 puppies, Leo and Miss Kitty, were later returned to him, but he never got Belita back. They said she had been sold to another breeder. The whole situation started a big discussion between the 2 parties involved, which lasted for many years. Nigerino's first game took place in South Texas against Pieces Al Capone at 37 pounds, the referee was Granger. Nigerino worked the head and chest, Al Capone was mastered in 37 minutes. This match was part of a 5-game convention and Nigerino took the Best in Show award. For his second start, he was conditioned and driven by Oklahoma Shorty. His opponent, Maddox Louis, was a 2-hour match winner. The referee was Bobby Smith. Louis did a good job grabbing Nigerino, but Nigerino started working on the thorax and muzzle and Louis was beaten at 1 hour 20 minutes. Nigerino was once again awarded Best of Show and received a trophy. His third was at 36 pounds against another 2-time winner, the McFlans Brindle. This match was refereed by Celso. Nigerian was at the forefront. The time and attack to win in the 37th minute. The fourth was against a California group called Black Attack. The weight was 37. And the referee was Morgan. Nigerino's opponent, Garrow's Ranger, was eliminated in the corner of it to 37 minutes. Nigerino's son, Samson, Miss Kitty's son, also won the same night, in less than 30 minutes. 3 years later, when Nigerino was 7 years old, he won his 5th match. Weight was 37 and the referee was De La Garza. The referee of the fourth game, Morgan, had a head-biting dog named Rowdy who he thought he could beat. In Nigerian, Rowdy was a very talented match-winner son of a crossing of Ch. Tonka/Bolio and managed to hold Nigerino during the first 10 minutes, with Nigerino leading. Nigerino grabbed Rowdy's nose, then chest him, and then on the ass several times, and Rowdy started singing at the 30 minutes. Morgan collected Rowdy at 37. 2 months later, Nigerino died of unknown causes in Kate's backyard. Because of the earlier incident, there was some speculation that Nigerino had even been poisoned, but no one ever really knew whether his death was due to natural causes or foul play. Nigerino was part of a litter of 6, every dog in his litter was a match winner. His brother Thunder rode 1-3 and died during the maintenance for number 4. The other male in the litter, Jolie Blonde, also got 3. Apart from the 3 bitches, Bolita and Nigeri, who won at least 2 each, and Red Sonia won 1 at least. There were unconfirmed reports that some of the Nigerino brothers won 5 or 6 matches each. Because of his early death, Nigerino was not bred to many bitches. Some of which he was crossed were his niece, Miss Kitty, his daughters Sasha and Midnight Express, Kate's, McCarty's, Patches, a bitch daughter of Stompanato/Rosie. Crossed to Miss Kitty, who won between 1 and 3, Nigerino produced Delagarza's Little Red, a one-time winner who was robbed after this match, the Delagarza's Mojo, a winner of 2 who died after his second, Samson, who won 1 and lost 1 because his handler broke the rules, Kate's Sasha, an 18-minute winner who punctured her opponent's bladder, and Rambo who was collected in his only break against a 3-pound larger dog in 1 hour 40 minutes. Rambo's brother Cujo has never been challenged but is proving to be a good player. Princess was a granddaughter of Jackson's Wolfman, crossed with Nigerino. She produced Townsend and Hall's Revenge, a hard-biting one-time winner who was then shipped to England and is producing some very promising dogs there. He was only paired once because he was a terrible chain fighter. In fact, he only had 1 canine broken when he won his first match. Nigerino was also bred to a bitch named Carlton's Midnight Madness, and this breeding produced Grant's Nightmare, a 1-match winner. When raised back with his daughter Sasha, Nigerino produced South's Buddy Ringo, who won 1 and then lost 1 to a son of Matlock Ch. Truck. He made a courtesy attack at 1:30 and died soon after. Buddy Ringo had been crossed with Nigerino Bitch, who was his half-sister to Nigerino and Patches, and this breeding produced 2 2-match winners, Frio Boys Ada and Terry's Red Rover. Also in Nigerino/Sasha's litter was a female dog that Kate's brought to Tom Garner, Zipper. When crossed with Garner's Ch. Chinaman, she produced Pineapple Kid Ch. Rosie, which won 4. Rosie's championship made her father a Chinaman. Aram. Another dog in Sasha and Nigerino's litter would be paired, but he died during his training due to a horrible accident. The last procreation made with Nigerino before he died was with another of his daughters, Midnight Express, a sister of Nigerino Bitch and Black Widow. This procreation produced Hackman's Marino, a 3-time winning dog. The Nigerino offspring also proved to be good breeders. Beyond the crosses already listed, his daughter Black Widow when bred with Kate's Pinto. Pete, who won a fight in 1 hour 30 minutes and died afterwards, she produced 2 puppies. Torpedo, a death game dog, and a bitch who won 2 or 3. When crossed with Cujo, she produced Wildside's Mean Jolene, who lost a fight to the death. Sasha also proved to be a good breeder, however much of her offspring. He is still young. When she crossed with a son of Ch. Chinaman, she produced Shocker, who won 1 and then lost to Ch. Tyrone. If we had to name the person who has had the most influence on our creation, Tom Garner would definitely be that person. When we look through genealogies of many of the dogs that grace the breeding of Wildside kennels, the name Garner can usually be found at least once somewhere in 5 generations. His influence would not only be limited to the great bloodlines he made available for us, but especially for his direction and support through the rough times of 1987. 1989, we would like to take this opportunity to give thanks to Tom Garner. For all your help over the years, his friendship meant a lot to us. The following article appeared in the American Pit Bull Terrier Gazette, Volume 9, 1st edition. It's one of the best-written articles about game dogs we've seen, and expresses what many of us feel about these dogs, but have difficulty put into words. Why Love the Pitbull? By Thomas M. Garner. Often in the course of my daily activities I am asked to explain how a mental health professional and humanist, not humanic, can be involved like this and can be fond of dogs whose instincts order them to fight between. Yes, at every opportunity. Maybe I look for some questions, just as I display proudly a 14-inch painting of my dog Ch. Pedro next to the photos of my children on my office wall. In any case, the consequences of these questions is that I have spent considerable time reflecting on this apparent conflict, and I will happily share the findings with anyone who cares to read further up. Now, most of us feel that there is something noble about having the courage to keep our convictions. Indeed, this wonderful country we live in would certainly immensely different were it not for the convictions and courage of our ancestors. Our heritage practically demands that we place a premium for convictions and courage. But how does this relate to our dogs? Good. In my opinion, a bulldog that doesn't start has no conviction. One that starts and stops has no courage, and one who starts and stays steady can have lunch with me at my table. But why is it necessary to experience pain and harm by demonstrating courage and conviction? This is the nature of life, my friends. Ask Patrick Henry, who died for his convictions. Ask the mechanic who ruins his joints every day to provide for your family. Ask the secretary who suffers from tension headaches but he regularly organizes the paperwork on time. Ask the doctor who accepts the pain of self-denial for 8 years to complete his degree. Ask our president who takes a bullet in the chest but doesn't run home and hide. Ask yourself. Same. Pain is the instrument of achievement, and the triumph of will and perseverance over strength. Of pain and fear is the essence of all achievement. This is a scenario that permeates everything in life. The stages and actors may change, but the story remains constant. Why? So many people are then able to accept this struggle in some situations, but not others? I suspect that many of these people do not have a good philosophical understanding of themselves, of life, and certainly not of our dogs. Not many people. They can do an adequate job just by looking at their navels. Many outsiders see our acceptance of pain in life as a love of pain. Anything could be further from the truth. I myself would be perfectly happy if our dogs could do their job without pain or harm. But not this. Would now require a lot of conviction on their part, would it not? Unnecessary pain is certainly an evil. That's why my dogs sleep in heated houses in the winter, eat good nutritious food, are kept free of parasites and have all the love and affection I can offer. I love life, especially fruitful life, in all forms. I love life for me, for my family, for you and your family, my dogs, and even for my roots. Not even the desperate fly that mistakenly enters. In my house it is not dented. It is relocated to a more appropriate point in the universe outside. Preventing a living entity from actualizing its potential is a crime against nature. Doing this out of love is a terrible mistake. Clip the wings of a eagle so that it could never fly, running the risk of falling would be absurd, but this way of thinking is often applied to our dogs. Ernest Hemingway demonstrated his conviction repeatedly in his novels, which life comes to be meaningful through a good fight. I also maintain that the most significant element to living a fulfilling life comes from having a purpose and courage to fulfill it. Nowhere in my experience have I seen these qualities displayed more clearly than when our dogs simply they are being what they are. We first meet Rick Wade during the Jolene/Sadie match, and he became a good friend quickly. Even though Jolene missed that day, Rick was so impressed with her that he bred Sadie with her younger brother, Lucifer, and then he incredibly beat 2 of Jolene's kids. We are always grateful to Rick for sending Sadie to our kennel like a litter bitch after her playing career ended. Rick wrote the following article during the issue of November 1992 from American Warrior. Wade Ch. Sadie. By R. Wade. Wade Ch. Sadie was born on July 12, 1986, raised by Edwards to Ch. Chinabuck crossed with Edwards Miss J.E. 34, Ch. Chinabuck was a son of Ch. Chinaman Ram and J.E. 34 was the daughter of Hargroves Rufus. Sadie was born in the kennel of Edwards in North Carolina, and she was the last sold puppy of her litter. She went finally sold to Mr. Allen, who coached her until she was 3 years old. At the time, she wasn't ready yet, however she would fight hard enough and bite well, but she didn't start to fight. Her owner was encouraged by her and by people who they spoke badly of her and wanted to shoot her. He called the breeder, Edwards, and told him he was going to shoot the bitch. Edwards persuaded her to sell the dog back to him. After approximately 1 week, Edwards called me and asked me if I was interested in her, as he knew that I had a half-sister of hers called Molly, who was a bitch with a mouth and winner of a match. I had heard what her previous owner had said about her and thought he made good judgment, so I was hesitant. Edwards made I agree with myself that if Sadie didn't give her a future, he would buy her back for what I I paid for it. So I bought Sadie for $250, she was a black bitch with a white chest and cropped ears. About 2 weeks later I put her with a bitch that I had, daughter of Ch. Rambo, named Prissy, who was a real tight-lipped bitch. But it didn't attack either. At the 5-minute mark, Sadie was hurting in her legs, and when she got her breast she worked it over it satisfactorily and she let it out. A howl, he leapt up, grabbed Prissy by the front, and started rocking her from side to side. 10 minutes was all either of them could take, neither of them could get up, and so I stopped the fight. After that Edwards was really happy about the bitch, and I figured he was going to test her out. Her more often and would challenge her when I thought she was ready. Approximately 6 weeks later, I went to Lee Triplett's house and trained her again. Lee was a good friend of mine and I respected him a lot. He put a bitch of 42 pounds on her. Sadie weighed about 39, and Sadie immediately attacked the bitch. At the end of 15 minutes, Sadie had a satisfactory nose job. She had got veins in the front part and had really worked the bitch pretty hard. She attacked very well 4 or 5 times. After we stopped the fight I asked Lee what he thought of the bitch, and he said he wouldn't even test her again, he'd put her in competition. I respected his opinion a lot, so that's exactly what I did. I started looking for a 38 pounds female. King Kennels had one they wanted. Challenge, and the match was called. They brought in a female dog named Star who was known as a defensive bitch. Good and very fierce. Sadie hit her front legs immediately, by the 15 mark. She broke both of Star's front legs and one of them was completely lost. But Star kept attacking, we couldn't stop her. Sadie then took it in the throat. And Star was deeply in shock when they collected her in the 41st minute. Sadie had revived my expectations by destroying that dog completely in 41 minutes, she looked great and was ready for the second match. I am not. Get her another match, people had spread as hard as she could bite, and I just couldn't defy her. I decided to leave a good friend of mine, James Ario, tasked with challenging her. He was the one who taught me how to condition a dog, so I knew he could take her and do a good job with her, Sadie. Hers was like a pet dog, but I felt he could get the best of her. We finally found an opponent, the Wildside Kennel up there in the mountains. I had seen a Wildside dog win a few years before with a Babi dog haul, and I didn't think much about the dog. I figured we had it all almost hit. Me, my girlfriend, Barney Fife and James Ario took a trip up the mountain. I was excited to meet the old mountain man more than with the match, already. That I had heard so much about him. When we got to his house on the day of departure, it was raining and a little cold. We brought Sadie into the ring. She'd lost half a pound and was acting a little lethargic. As I sat there with her, brushing her off the bumps, I looked out the window and saw Wildside walking their dog up the hill. She was a big red Niggerino bitch and looked to be 44 pounds. I started to laugh. Because I already knew that we were going to get a ticket and I would be taking my dog to home. There was no way that bitch would make it to the weight. They brought their dog Mean Jolene and weighed her. She weighed just 38 and I started to sweat. This was the biggest 38-pound bitch I had ever seen, and she was not underweight. When these bitches got loose they hit hard, and immediately Jolene began to dominate. She was the first dog I ever had. Put Sadie on the defensive. I couldn't really see what was going on, all I could see was Ed smiling at the spectators on their side and saying, "Looks good." And it looked really good on their side. Jolene was dominating and was pushing Sadie back. I didn't see much of what was going on until around the 10 mark. Minutes when Sadie started to stand out. She had done some good damage to the head, but it didn't seem to deter Jolene. Around 15 or 20 minutes she entered finally on the front legs and started working Jolene for real. If she wasn't the Sadie's defense, she would have been killed early in that fight. This is probably one of the best matches I've seen, two dogs that bite hard. And good sportiness on both sides. Around 28 minutes Wildside decided pick up their dog and try to save her. When asked for the bout of courtesy, Jolene was let go and fell, got up and started again and fell, and Ed picked her up. Collected like a good game dog. Sadie was held by the tail by James Ario so she wouldn't do any more damage to Jolene. Sadie's shoulder was badly injured, so we attended to her immediately and the Wildside went to work on their dog. That day I mourned that they lost her. She was a good bitch and I really liked her a lot. Sadie's third match was with a female Vindicator/Zebo bloodline. Named Shiare, she had a reputation as a dog that bit hard on the chest, and I knew that the people I was messing with were tough. They knew what to do with a dog. Sadie's defense went into overdrive again. She spent the first 15 minutes fighting nothing but defense. She didn't. She could find nothing to pick up because Shiare mastered it so well. At about 20 minutes, it was a hot day, Sadie got her chance. She went into one shoulder and went working there and slowly sliding up the leg. She broke Shiare's leg near the paw and worked it up to her shoulder and started hurting her. Shiare worked on Sadie's chest whenever she got the chance, and Sadie would come back quickly to the defense and tried to grab it. At the 35-minute mark, it was Shiare's turn to do the first strike. Sadie had already attacked once, and she stopped at the line. That made of Sadie is a champion. Sadie is one of those dogs that is kind to people who treat her right. But she doesn't like strangers. Someone tried to break into our house once while Sadie was in there. I came home and found blood everywhere. The guy showed up in the hospital that night. He needed 28 stitches in his arm. If you take care of Sadie, she will take care of you. I wish I had 10 more like her. Champion Sadie is now 6.5 years old and has retired to breeding. She went crossed with Wildside Lucifer, and these pups look good. Just now she went crossed with Wildside Renegade, and I'm looking forward to more good dogs. Her children. One of our most important top dogs is a son of Bandit and Wild Cherry, named Rapid Roy. Roy was sent as a puppy to our friend Ted Barnes in Ontario, Canada. Ted raised Roy, and instead of choosing an easy place for the first departure, he and Roy traveled over 2,000 miles to top competition and won. We owe a debt of gratitude to Ted for allowing us the opportunity of getting Roy back, when he could have sold the dog for a lot more money. Ted wrote the following story about Roy during the fall of 1994 in Don's magazine. Carter, Bits on Pits magazine. Rollbar Kennels Rapid Roy. By Ted Barnes. Where to start? First, I'd like to give credit where credit is due. In addition From training and matches, I would have to say most of the credit should go to the Wildside Kennel. These are the people who created the dog and sent it to me. I also think this is a good place to start Roy's story. I originally wanted a bandit pup and a gyp pup from Ed and Chris, which they had in the kennel. Well, that breeding couldn't be done, so they had to send another pup in its place, with my permission, of course. This pup dog was from the same ancestor, the bandit, and the mother of Roy was the Wildside Wild Cherry. Knowing that I liked Eli's dogs crossed with Snooty's dogs, they couldn't have made a better choice for me. I got Roy when he was a young 10-week-old pup, from day one. That I heard he had a good character. The weather was quite cold during that year. Actually, we had snow early, so I decided to bring Roy inside. Well, this lasted about a week. I could say that trying to keep this dog indoors is a good chance to ruin him before he hits the show circuit. Roy took life on his terms and never really seemed to care one way or another. Considering he was my wife's dog, he had some extra from time to time, like toys and play time with them. I had to build a pole and doll for the dog, for his amusement. So in essence, Roy at 10 months was being introduced to his work tools, which he made good use of. It was at that time that I decided to give you a taste of the four walls with a puppy of approximately 18 months. He treated him like he was toys. From him, he showed a lack of interest, not that he didn't pounce when he was supposed to or bit like a dog should, it was more like a dog's interest in go out and fight at 20 degrees below zero. They go out because they want to. So was Roy. When he first met another dog, Roy's second race showed us that he had a lot of brains and drove a lot. Well, for 23 minutes, he was 14 months old. I suppose this was the last of the easy times for Roy. His next 3 fights were with a dog bigger than him, 50 pounds, and none was less than 40 minutes. In these fights Roy had his foot broken and tendons in his front legs torn to the ground. Rest of life. His legs would never be the same. It was August 1993, I had lost a game and was thinking about taking Roy out of circuit. I was with some people from Prominent Dogs of Texas during a week and my friend told me he thought Roy was a stray. I said, maybe so, but there doesn't seem to be a dog here in this kennel that would lose him. We left it on the floor around midnight and it did 1 hour 6 minutes, and I decided I should pull it. The next morning at breakfast my friend said, you know Ted, now it's time to find out if he's a stray or not. Well, we went back to the yard and got Roy, 9 hours after making 1 hour 6 minutes. When I released him, he came out of the best. In whatever way he could, he bit down, and proceeded as if he didn't want to stop. Well, I told my friend to come back in a month and I would have Roy's weight too. In 1 month we challenged Rapid Roy to 45 pounds with Kirkland and Fall. I started training in October and the show was supposed to be in November. Roy was an easy dog to work with as he used his tools all his life. Since 10 months old. After checking with my veterinarian and getting a health certificate we were ready to travel for a week. My partner, D. Rollo, came to visit me and take some pictures of Roy before we left. He told me that he imagined it was the last time he would see Roy alive, and that he knew he would have. There must be a special reason before I pick up the dog. When I left Canada, the temperature was a pleasant 25 degrees. When I arrived in Houston, it was 40 degrees. I had 3 days to get used to it. Roy, with this drastic change, which was difficult considering my whole feed had to be changed to get warm, humid air. On the date of the show, we traveled approximately 6 hours to Louisiana. It was the day for Roy to show us what he was. I heard that I was challenging a dog. Good physique with a lot of mouth. My plan was to stick with it and hope Roy's brain and his aggressiveness would prevail, as we hadn't seen any mouths until the time. We were second to enter a 5-dog show. Many of the names, big ones, were there, along with this Canadian that not many people knew in crowd I had traveled with. With the weight up to date, we entered 41.5 pounds, equal to Roy's opponent. Fall was holding Bossman. Kirkland was his second in my corner, and I have to be honest, I was more prepared than my Roy. At the command, Pit, I released Roy and he went into business. Within 7 minutes of this match you couldn't bet $5 against Rapid Roy and the Canadian. Roy destroyed Bossman's shoulder with a bite and began to work on the dog. It was the first time in Roy's life he had taken the hand. I had a friend in the corner of Epple and he yelled, "Damn T, this is not the same dog that we fight in Canada." I have to say Kirkland and Fall brought a real bulldog indeed. Bossman won, fiercest of the show, that night. We had passed to our mark. Roy was very hot for the first 20 minutes, but the rhythm again. Petty from the Bleedwater Kennel was in my corner, and when I brought Roy for break, Petty told everybody I dragged Roy in the air so he could catch the cooler night air. I would have to say it was like 50 degrees in the ring, and Petty was more worried that I would get hotter than Roy. At 1 a.m. for minutes grubs, the judge said, "Well boys, just so you know it's been 1h04 min, come on Roy. Get it over with." I said. It was at this point that Roy finally decided he was going to be a bulldog. He put the half of his jaw around the base of Bossman's neck, the other half around the back of his neck and bit. I heard a crack. And Bossman stretched and lost his bowel control. It was dead as ice. Roy continued chewing on Bossman's skull. Roy was declared the winner at 107. There were some older breeders there who said they hadn't seen a mouth like that for years. I have to say I've never seen a better bulldog than the Roy's opponent for a while. This dog kept looking for the face of death until he carried death with him. Finally, Roy now returns to the Wildside Kennel. I don't believe he should be challenged again due to an accident he had here that resulted in the operation of his salivary glands. This could have caused some jaw paralysis. Him, taking away some of the good mouth he had. When I think about what makes an ace, the following is a dog that likes to work. A dog that has no fear of crowds, even before staying in one. A dog that will travel anywhere and perform its tasks as he should. A dog that will kill its opponent out of the desire to kill it. Well, Roy has all these qualities and more. I believe he will pass this on to his offspring. I already have dogs of his children that for us seem to be almost the same. To him.
Predominantly a Jeep Rascal bloodline, mostly